The proclamation of the Holy Gospel according to John. Jesus went out to the Mount of Olives. At daybreak, he reappeared in the temple area, and when the people started coming to him, he sat down and began to teach them. The scribes and the Pharisees led the woman forward who had been caught in adultery. They made her stand there in front of everyone. "Teacher," they said to him, "this woman has been caught in the act of adultery. In the law, Moses ordered such women to be stoned. What do you have to say about the case?" They were posing this question to trap him, so that they could have something to accuse him of. Jesus simply bent down and started tracing on the ground with his finger. When they persisted in their questioning, he straightened up and said to them, "Let the man among you who has no sin be the first to cast a stone at her." A second time he bent down and wrote on the ground. Then the audience drifted away one by one, beginning with the elders. This left him alone with the woman, who continued to stand there before him. Jesus finally straightened up again and said to her, "Woman, where did they all disappear to? Has no one condemned you?" "No one, sir," she answered. Jesus said, "Nor do I condemn you. You may go, but from now on, avoid this sin." The Gospel of the Lord.
Our Gospel for this Sunday comes from St. John, the famous story of the woman caught in adultery presented to Jesus by the scribes and Pharisees. We have been reflecting on newness of life, the new life that God offers to us. In the first reading from the prophet Isaiah, we see this people Israel returning to a former condition of humiliation through the exile in Babylon. But the Lord promises them, "You will have new life, and I will make it possible for you. I will prepare a way in the desert for you to come home, and in the wasteland you will have rivers. For you are my people. I have formed you as my own people." So God cannot abandon His own. And even if they are stiff-necked, even if they are stubborn, God will not get tired of offering new life to them. And in the second reading, in the letter of Paul to the Philippians, we find how he experienced this. He was a Pharisee, very much like the Pharisees in the Gospel, zealous about the law, and who thought that his personal justification before God can happen through his efforts of being faithful to the law, until Jesus claimed him as his own. And in Jesus, he found new life. His value system was definitely changed by Jesus. And the past now doesn't matter for him that much. He now presses on to the future, which is full union with Jesus. So we find the people Israel, and we have an individual, Paul, experiencing newness of life in God, the God who is merciful and the God who will guide us to newness of life in Him. That is precisely the point, too, of the Gospel. Jesus was teaching in the area of the Mount of Olives, and the scribes and Pharisees presented to him a woman who was caught in the act of adultery. Now, as we already said, the scribes and Pharisees, like St. Paul, were very meticulous in their observance of the law. Now, they presented this woman to Jesus to ask him what he thought. For the law of Moses prescribed that a woman caught in adultery should be stoned. Now, according to the Gospel, The scribes and Pharisees really had a motive. They wanted to trap Jesus. Now, depending on the answer of Jesus, especially if it does not blend with their interpretation of the law, they will have a weapon against him. They will have a reason to accuse him. Now, you see that the motivation was not really that pure. But we know Jesus, he can read minds and hearts. So at first he felt, we noticed that he must have been ignoring this question, this legal question. And you are a reader, no? You are left hanging as though this is a moment of suspense. Will they be able to trap Jesus? What does he really think of the law of Moses? Huh? And they kept pressing on him. You have to say something. Then he says, "Let the man among you who has no sin be the first to cast a stone at her." Wow, Jesus is really a master. First, he did not contradict the law of Moses. He did not say, "Oh, do not follow that law." He did not say anything negative about the law of Moses. In fact, he seems to be tacitly agreeing with the law. He did not negate it, but he added something. Let the one who has no sin do it first. Okay? You want to follow the law? Stone her. But let the one who is sinless be the first to cast the stone. Now, if I were a scribe or Pharisee at that time, I would be in a quandary. Okay, so Jesus believes in the law, but he adds a condition. And am I sinless? So one by one, the people left the woman. And who was left with the woman? Jesus, the sinless one, the one without sin. So now, the suspense is, after all the people, the sinners had gone, will Jesus, who has the right to stone her, will he stone her? Was he just waiting for the crowd to disappear so that he can stone her privately? But no. Jesus asked, "Where are these people?" He said, "Was there no one left to condemn you?" And the woman said, "No, they all left. And I do not condemn you. You may go, but from now on, avoid this sin." Jesus, who has every right to condemn and to execute the law, does not do it. And instead of condemnation, he lets the woman go with a proviso. You may go, but sin no more. As though telling the woman, we do not condemn you so that you have the chance to enter into new life. If we stone you and you die, then you died with your old self. There was no chance for you to become a new person. And so Jesus, the Jesus whom St. Paul describes in the second reading as the one who claimed him as his own, and the one who becomes the new life for St. Paul, I think this woman can say the same thing. He did not condemn me. He opened the door for me, as though God of opening the path to Israel during the time of the exile. Walk, go, enter into new life. Do not sin anymore. It is of the past. Move on. And do not forget how much God loves you. And this love will be your guard against sin. The love of God, the forgiveness of God will enable you to ward off temptations and to face the new life of love and peace. You know, brothers and sisters, as a priest, I I'm approached by many people to share their joys, their griefs, to share wonderful events in life like birth and baptism, but weddings, ordinations, but also quite embarrassing moments and moments of sorrow and grief. I remember one person who asked to see me, just to talk with me. And when I agreed to see him, upon seeing me, in that small room, he started crying. So I knew right away that it is not good news that we will be talking about. No, and he could not talk. He was just sobbing. His communication was through tears and sobs. And I waited for him to calm down. And when he was able to muster enough energy to talk, then he shared some of his quite painful and humiliating experiences in the past. And he said, I guess we can all resonate with him. I cannot face God anymore. I cannot face human beings anymore. Even if they do not know what I have done, I have no face, no courage to approach them. And then I spontaneously said, you're not alone. Many of us share the same brokenness that you are experiencing. And even if I'm a priest, I know what it means to be broken and sinful. You're not alone. And with that, he smiled and hugged me. And as though no conversation was needed. And he was just thankful. He said, thank you. There is hope for new life. Well, that was how Jesus did it, and that's how we should do it. The word has been exposed. Let us now fulfill it. In this day and age, social networking has become a very convenient mode of communication among people. With just a click and the power of the internet, you are able to reach your loved ones wherever they are. On the other hand, it is saddening and alarming to know that there are some people who take advantage of the reach and availability of social networking sites, spreading scandals and false information about a certain entity or personality, engaging in fraud and scams, and at times pretending to be someone else. Recently, I have been getting reports that there are fan pages and personal accounts under my name and are circulating over Facebook. To set the record straight, I have no personal Facebook account. Rather, I have only one Facebook page, and it is being maintained by Jesuit Communications. I seek your help in reporting fraudulent pages and accounts, not only those concerned with myself, but also with other people and entities. Let us keep the social networking world a good communication venue by being truthful.